Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Kirby Smart, the Georgia Bulldogs, land another commitment in this 2025 class coming from four-star offensive lineman Mason Short. Now, he was previously committed to Alabama, decommits when Nick Saban retires. And I think a lot of Georgia fans, we've been talking about this one, kind of felt like we would get this one done. And that's exactly what Kirby Smart does. And you get into Mason Short, you talk about the athletic profile, a guy that we haven't talked a ton about on the recruiting trail. This is a guy that pretty much fits exactly what Georgia wants on that offensive line. You look at 6'5.5", 305, plays left tackle at the high school level. When you turn on the film, certainly looks athletic enough to play left tackle in the SEC, but this is a guy that a lot of people see as an interior dude at the next level. That kind of versatility is something that Kirby Smart and this Georgia program consistently covet on the recruiting trail. I mean, Georgia stockpiles offensive linemen, right? We spent pretty much the whole summer talking about Georgia and what they did in the 2024 class. What Kirby Smart wants is guys that can be versatile. He wants to move guys around. When you're talking about playing your best five offensive linemen, it helps a lot to get your best five on the field when you have a guy that can play tackle, can play on the inside, and then you take a look at what Georgia wants to do every single year. That is make runs in the postseason and go win national championships. And when you have guys that allow you to kind of move them all around the field on that offensive line, it really helps your depth on the offensive line as well. And we always talk about that. Why does Georgia seem to always play their best football late in seasons? Because they're a heck of a lot deeper than a lot of other teams at the Power 5 level. That's been the recipe for Kirby Smart. Mason Short kind of fitting right into that recipe. Want to dive into the film of Mason Short, talk about why he fits Georgia so well, what he brings to this Georgia offensive line. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. A massive shout out to the Georgia fans, whether we're covering this program in the transfer portal, on the recruiting trail, the amount of support, all the go dogs in the comment section. That stuff means the world to the boys. Cannot thank y'all enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Mason Short. Before we turn on the film, I want to talk a little bit about what we are going to see. One, really impressive shot put numbers, and not only impressive shot put numbers in the spring, but this is a guy that translates those shot put numbers onto the football field. Extremely powerful lower half, a guy that is really a road grader in the run game, which shouldn't be that much of a surprise because this is a guy that is a very big human being. But what really stands out to me about Mason Short is how athletic he is on that offensive line as well. And you look at Georgia, what they ask their offensive linemen to do. They ask these big bodies to be athletic in space, to get up to the second level. That's something that Mason Short really does put on the film. And you kind of take into account all of these things, the versatility, the ability to work to the second level. That is everything Georgia wants in an offensive lineman. I think this is a really good fit. Now, you get to the film, couple things that really stand out. One, he is one of the more nasty offensive linemen that you see in this 2025 class. And that's kind of what you want on that offensive line, right? Working at that left tackle, getting to the second level. And when he gets engaged, I mean, he has some really powerful hands, obviously a strong lower body with those shot put numbers. He puts guys in the dirt. And again, you take a look at what he's doing out here. This is exactly what Georgia offensive linemen are asked to do: pull around, get to the second level. Mason Short, for someone who's almost 6'6", 310 pounds, shows phenomenal athleticism. And this is a guy that is extremely polished too. You can tell that he's really honed in his craft on the offensive line. This isn't just a raw athlete that's going to the college football level and needs a lot of work. This is a guy that's played a lot of football, has played it at a high level, and just knows how to use his frame, use his body. I love how well he stays engaged with these defenders at the second level. That's something that we see a lot of offensive linemen struggle with. Mason Short, I mean, when he gets engaged with these guys, he is not letting them go. You look at him operating in space right here, 6'5.5", 310 pounds, operating in space like that. That's probably my favorite attribute that Mason Short brings to the table. Again, powerful, powerful hands in the upper body. He flashes a lot of different things that he can do at a high level. Again, getting to the second level, going out and picking up a safety down there, 10, 15 yards down the field. there are so many different ways that you can get Mason Short involved in this offense. He's a guy that can be very good in pass protection, very good in those down block situations, but also a guy that you can go ask to operate in space, get to second level defenders. That's what you need to do as a Georgia offensive lineman. And Mason Short puts that all over the film. Solid pass protector, nasty in the run game. Again, powerful hands, staying engaged. I love Mason Short. I think this is a massive get for Georgia. And you take a look at what they're doing in the 2025 class. And again, very early on in this process, this is going to be their sixth commitment. I want to talk about where Georgia is going on the offensive line and have the conversation that, this is probably, it's Georgia and Michigan in my mind in terms of if you're a top offensive lineman in the country, where are you deciding to go? I think Georgia and Michigan have kind of separated themselves as the destinations for offensive linemen to go and get developed. And I don't think that's a coincidence that the last three national championships, or champions, I should say, have been Georgia and Michigan. Georgia's doing a phenomenal job becoming a destination place for the offensive line. And Kirby Smart knows more than just about anyone in the country. You win at the college football level on the line of scrimmage first. They prioritize it on the recruiting trail. They develop it with their guys. And you look at where Georgia's going on this offensive line. Mason Short, their first commitment on the offensive line, but certainly not going to be their last. You take a look at some of the guys that they are going after. Having David Sanders Jr., the number one offensive tackle in this 2025 class, the number two player nationally. David Sanders is a phenomenal athlete for his size. This is a guy that has 35-inch arms. He's 6'6", 270. And 270, he's going to get up to 300 pounds before he steps foot on a college campus. And this is a guy that when you start talking about the rare traits of the length, the frame, and then you combine that with the athleticism, David Sanders moves like a tight end on the football field. This is a guy that in my mind, probably just kind of a bona fide top 20 pick in the NFL draft. And what better place to go than Georgia? And it sounds like Georgia, Clemson, probably the leaders in the clubhouse for a guy like David Sanders Jr. And we've seen Georgia win out on a lot of these recruitments. Last guy I want to talk about that we could be seeing come off the board in a little bit is Juan Gaston from Atlanta, Georgia, playing his ball at Westlake. And you look at Juan Gaston, this is a guy that kind of reminds you of some of the boys that we were talking about in the 2024 class. 6'7", 345. You turn on the film, absolute road grader in the run game. Georgia wants their offensive linemen big, and they want them athletic. I think Mason Short certainly fits that trend. Juan Gaston, another guy. Yes, Georgia, only one offensive lineman in the 2025 class as we sit right now, but I think a lot of Georgia fans know that this is once again going to be one of the top offensive line classes in the country. Mason Short, a very good start. Big fan of this kid. Massive get for the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll cut it there. Appreciate y'all rocking with the fellas. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.